quiet, please. Oh my God, shh. Film's about to start.
Hello world, welcome to Drew's Reviews, and today's film will be discussing Materialists. Directed by Celine Song, the film follows Lucy, a successful matchmaker in New York, helping the elite find their perfect partners. Her carefully curated life is thrown into question as she navigates between desire, comfort, and authenticity. Going into this movie, I had no high expectations. I'm not a real big fan of chick flicks. They're all pretty much the same. There are some exceptions. I'll go see whatever movie that looks good enough to me. They call them chick flicks, but they're romantic comedies or romantic movies. But with this one, it was mainly the cast that sold me on going to see this movie, not necessarily the story. And even from the trailers, it looked like a pretty straightforward rom-com.
Criteria.
Nothing over 20 BMI.
I don't want someone who likes cats.
I'm trying to settle.
I promise you're going to marry the love of your life.
Who the hell cares?
But when I saw that it was directed by Celine Song, I was very intrigued by that as well. Her first film I really liked a lot. I wouldn't say that it's the best film that I've seen, but it was a really well done movie. Here was the confusing thing going into this movie. The first trailer that they released, it seemed to be marketed as not really a rom-com, but more of a serious conversation about dating. And then a couple weeks later, I see a different type of trailer.
I get along much better with girls in their 20s.
What did he say?
Girls in their 20s.
We got him.
And this one seems to be targeting the chick flick audience. And you know how those rom-com trailers go. She thinks she has it all figured out. That's kind of what the trailer was giving. So from that, I was just a little confused. So I go to see the movie and it was more along the lines of what the first initial trailer had showed. So the clarity for me came in toward the second act of the film. This movie is a lot deeper from what it seemed like with that last trailer. So it was a bit of a surprise, but not really, because they had two different trailers showing two different tones, and I just feel that was really bad marketing on their part. Now, I'll get my negatives right out of the way. There are obviously cliche things throughout the film. Now, it is a little bit more romantic drama than it is comedy, but when it got to those comedic parts, I feel that it was just used differently. Now, they used comedy to kind of make a certain individual not as interesting. That way the protagonist can pick the better pick. I just wish they didn't use the comedy in that situation, because I felt it overshadowed the deeper conversation that was there. The specific way they did it just kind of took all the atmosphere out of the scene. Although it was funny, I just felt they just sacrifice the scene for a funny moment, and for me, most of the time, that just doesn't work in any film, honestly.
Please have another sacrifice. No, I've had enough for today. Listen, I'm going to be very insulted unless you have another. I don't want another sacrifice, okay?
So that's my biggest negative. Regardless, I think she did an incredible job overall. I enjoyed this film. I liked it better than past lives throughout the narrative and weaving and connecting these different stories and connecting these characters and the drama and everything. That's what I love about movies like this. I'm glad it wasn't as much comedy, because as I said before, when there was, sometimes it kind of took away from the deeper story that was there. And this movie has such important conversations about the dating that's going on in this day and age. Instead of focusing on just trying to make it funny for the sake sake of being funny. This movie is 20% comedy and 80% drama. And I felt the director and writer did a great job navigating this story. And the part that I was most excited about, the cast, wonderful job. Pedro Pascal, love him in pretty much everything I've seen him in. This guy can do anything. He's literally in like every movie franchise that's going on right now, or at least that's what it feels like. But he was wonderful. I loved his performance. He was so suave, and his chemistry with Dakota Johnson was excellent. Especially there's this scene where they're at dinner. I mean, the chemistry was just spilling out of the screen. It was so amazing. And then Chris Evans, wonderful, very charismatic. You understand his character, you understand why he's in the situation that he's in, which they do a really great job at explaining. And he also had wonderful chemistry with Dakota Johnson. And then there is one actress that I want to mention, Zoe Winters. She was incredible. I loved her performance in the movie. I don't believe I've seen her in anything, and if I did, I'm not sure that I remember her, but wow, was she incredible. She has a very important part in this film. She gives it her all. You felt for her character. That was one of the performances from this movie that was the biggest takeaway. And then Dakota Johnson. Now this is a bit of a tough one because I am not a fan of Dakota Johnson's career. With the 50 Shades of Grey franchise, she only had like a 2-second scene in Social Network, so I don't really even count that. Couple seconds in 21 Jump Street, and then she did Madam Web, which...
Dude, that movie sucked.
Yeah, we don't really need to talk about that film. Now, she was in Peanut Butter Falcon. She did an incredible job in that film. I also liked her performance in Black Mass with Johnny Depp. Honestly, out of her entire filmography, from what I've seen, that's the best performance that she's had so far until now. But in this film, I feel she did such an incredible job, and it just showed me that she is a good actress. She can hold her own as the lead for a film like this. Now, in most of her movies that I've seen, most, not all, her character is usually very unlikable.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
But in this movie, very likable. I thought she was funny and very charming as well. She felt very realized. A part of that goes to the director, Celine Song, and her vision. But I believe Dakota Johnson had the chops in this film to fulfill Celine Song's vision of how she wanted to bring this character to life on screen. This movie wasn't long. It was a little over 90 minutes. I didn't feel the time at all. Now, the 20% of jokes that were in this movie, the director did a good job. It wasn't much, like I said before. This movie is mainly drama, but the comedy that they did do, although with that one particular scene it overshadowed, the rest of the comedy I felt was very natural. But the drama and the romance was definitely 100% Materialist's strongest feature. The way the characters interact and the way the story is told, it was just hitting on every level. Just everything felt so real. It felt like Hitch, but take like almost all the comedy out of Hitch and make it way more serious. Make the job of matchmaking have stakes and consequences, how these things really affect people and how they affect the matchmaker. And it was just so well done, to the point that after I was walking out of the movie, I was just thinking to myself, was there anything that I really didn't like about this film? And then the more I thought about it, that one part didn't work, but everything else was just working for me. The acting, the writing, the directing, the cinematography, it all just worked so well. I really like this movie. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be like the only one that's like this movie this much. I'm going to be giving Materialist a 9 out of 10. The majority of this movie, I loved it. I really suggest checking this film out. Thank you for tuning in to my review of Materialist. Please like, subscribe, and let me know down in the comments what's your favorite rom-com. I would love to hear your thoughts. And in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.